Hey there, it's Manila Chan here for Slanted Online, our second installment of our online video interviews. Today's guest is a contributor for the politics section at the Washington Examiner, a good friend of mine. His name's Ryan Girdusky. Take a look. So let's talk about the big news of the week. Of course, it just dominated headlines. It was President Trump's State of the Union address just a couple of days ago. What were your thoughts on it?
I thought that it went on for a little too long. I think it could have been the 15 to 20 minutes shorter. I thought that it was overall a pretty good speech. Maybe we could have only had one person from North Korea instead of two. I thought that was a little much. I couldn't believe how sometimes the Democrats refuse to stand. I really thought that was really poor showing for them, especially with those four parents who lost their two teenage daughters to MS-13 gang members. That was really quite the hiss of them. I couldn't believe that. Some of the stuff surprised me, like when he mentioned prison reform. I'm like, wow, Ivanka slubbed that bill in. And and you could tell whatever like Ivanka put in because they would pan right to her, which was hysterical. I thought Melania looked great. And overall, I give the speech like an 8 out of 10. Beautiful. Okay. Lifting, really, really nice. Some parts of the policy initiatives I disagreed with, but overall, 8 out of 10.
Like what?
I didn't agree with his immigration proposal. I've read it. I got a good advanced copy of the 250-page proposal, and I've skimmed through most of it, and it's not what he I think that is a huge win for Democrats, and it's only their idiot.
Wait. Are you saying it isn't stringent enough, or it's too laxed, or it's in favor of what the Democrats want?
It's so in favor of what the Democrats want. It's a huge give to them. So it is another bill that's amnesty first, enforcement second. And so what the bill does is this. It would grant immediate amnesty to it says 1.8. It's probably 4 to 5 million people, because when they say DACA is 690,000. Dreamers is a very broad term that they're guessing is 1.8. It's not. It's 4 or 5 million. They would get immediate protection, where they wouldn't get citizenship right away, but they would get a protection, and then over 10 years they would get citizenship. But the Ninth Circuit Court's going to freaking waive that. They'll get citizenship probably in 2 to 3 years. It's not going to be this long wait like they say it is, because the courts overturn everything, because they'll say it's an injustice that they have to wait that long. Courts are saying now that it's illegal to deport people because of Trump's tweets. I mean, the judges are out of control. But so that's the one main part of it. The ending of chain migration. So this is what most people don't understand about chain migration. There's a backlog of people who've already applied to enter the country through chain migration. That backlog is about 13 years long. So years. So that backlog has to end before there's any, according to the president's plan, before there's any end to chain migration. So we're not going to see an end in this presidency or the next presidency. Like, it will end probably around 2030, 2035. So it's not like this draconian end to chain migration. And in the meantime, what will happen is, and also there's no end date. So there's no date in the plan that says, applications for chain migration end on December 1st. That's not there. So applications are rolling. So there's no end to chain migration.
So basically, this is an infinite wait list for a dinner table.
Right. Yes. This is not. There's no end date, and all discretion is given to the DHS secretary. The current DHS secretary is Kirstjen Nielsen. Mm-hmm. Kirstjen Nielsen is a Bushite. She doesn't believe in the Trump agenda. She has never believed in the Trump agenda. She had the job of finding a replacement for General Kelly, and she appointed herself.
Okay.
Kind of her is. When she was working for the Bush administration for Hurricane
Katrina. Kirsten, let's be clear about that.
Yeah, Kirstjen Nielsen. When she worked for the Bush administration during Hurricane Katrina relief, she chose to hire illegal immigrants for the government over American citizens. This is the type of woman she is. She doesn't have this America First attitude whatsoever. She doesn't believe in the president's administration whatsoever. And I have friends who work over at DHS, and they say that they constantly make fun of the idea that there's going to be a wall, even though she says it in public all the time. The wall is a wall system. It's like Dr. Evil laser. It's not really a wall. It's a lot of, like, I don't know, drones flying overhead so we could watch illegals cross on live PD. There's a lot of things there that there's just a lot of things there that are not what he campaigned on. The end of the diversity visas there, but that's nothing. That's the only people who care about that is the Black Caucus, because it mostly takes in African immigrants from the parts of Africa. Not even mostly, just a large portion, mostly from like Somalia and stuff.
Sure.
And Uganda, so it's not like this gigantic thing. But what the president has asked for and what the president's offering is a huge one for Democrats. They're missing out on a major.
So then why, Ryan? Let me ask you this then: if it was in my prediction as well as what the president was gonna touch on at the State of the Union, but if this is such a huge win for Democrats, why haven't they accepted the deal prior to the State of the Union? This deal has been on the table for at least 10 days now, and we haven't heard a peep out of them. This is like he has gone on the press to say, is that he's offering more help to the Dreamers and other immigrants than what the Democrats had originally asked for. Why haven't they said yes?
Partly because it's Trump. I mean, it's so funny because Democrats voted to end green cards and chain migration 5 years ago. 5 years ago, the Democrats voted to end chain migration in the McCain-Kennedy bill. Not McCain-Kennedy. It was I don't know, one of those bills that one of the amnesty bills ended chain migration. And but the problem is that while it ended chain migration, it expanded immigration as a whole. This bill, if chain migration ever did come to an end, which I don't know if it ever will, according to this bill, it will reduce legal immigration by 400,000 to 500,000 people, which is a big deal. But at the same time, that means our immigration level will be around where it was in 1990. I mean, people sit there and say, like, oh, it's going to be 50% and there's nothing like this ever, and it's going to be like, white national. No, it was 1990. We had this exact immigration level in 1990. And Bill Clinton and Barbara Jordan, civil rights icon, wanted to take it down to 200,000 in the 90s. And the person who stopped it was Newt Gingrich. It's kind of funny because had Newt Gingrich not stopped it, there probably wouldn't have been a President Donald Trump today. Just like a random
the irony, right?
The irony is, it's thick, so thick you can cut it. It'd be President Hillary Clinton. So it's partly why they can't accept it is because it reduces legal levels of immigration and because they can't accept anything that President Trump has to offer.
So you think that the Democrats now are just simply being obstructionists for nothing more than just saying no to Donald Trump? Yeah,
a lot of them are sitting saying if it's not 100% our way, we're not doing it. And that's easy to do as a legislator. Had Ted Cruz become president, I doubt that he would have been shutting down the government every week. But you know what? It's easy to do that as a senator or a congressman to be, Ron Paul, one of my favorite congressmen ever, voted no on everything.
Mine too.
That as president because you need to cut deals and make deals. And the Democrats are just not willing to make a deal with Trump at all. And I think that him chasing this plan is really like Obamacare. Listen, their votes aren't there. They just aren't there. There's not 9 Democrats. There's not 51 Republicans willing to support this plan, let alone 13 or 14 Democrats ready to jump on it. They're just not. They're not in that. They're not there. They're just not. Too many people are worried about their own reelection, being primary from the left, being challenged from the right. So they're just not there. Like, the votes aren't there. And it's like with the Obamacare repeal. It was always a flawed idea to even run after Obamacare repeal because the plans and the votes weren't there. This is the same exact thing. I say, offer it to them. They don't accept. Let DACA sunset. Say, sorry, we tried. Or maybe roll over another 2-year protection or 3-year protection for the DACA, exactly how they have it now. Exchange for wall funding, or just security funding, or just honestly shove the wall funding into the military budget and declare it an issue of national security and let them vote against veterans. play a hardliner and go right after infrastructure, because the votes just aren't there for this. They're not there for anything controversial this year. So do infrastructure. I say for President Trump that what he should do is do infrastructure, do right to try, do maternity leave. I love that he mentioned that. Do a prison reform bill. Do populist and moderate stuff this year that can get coalitions that show you're able to govern, and force Democrats' hands to vote with you. Democrats could not vote, not all of them, but Claire McCaskill or Bob Casey can't vote against maternity leave. They can't vote against prison reform. And so you will suck so much energy out of the left. It's not even funny, because they'll be so frustrated that their own leaders are working with you rather than just resisting you 100%. Do that. I mean, because I don't believe this DACA deal will ever happen.
Ryan, you were sounding more and more like a Republican strategist.
I was that for years. I was a Republican strategist, and I'm working on campaigns right now. So I just think for my candidates too, I'm like, wouldn't this be great? But listen, being president is not always the job of being the most, democratic person in the world. Lyndon Johnson and, for example, always pushed around congressmen and senators and said, vote my way or it's going to be a hard time for you. And you got to do it. To be nice.
Okay, let's leave autocracy out for a minute. Let's switch gears a little bit into more of a social topic, a social / political topic. Let's talk about the Me Too movement. As we've seen, shortly after the 1-year anniversary of President Trump's inauguration, there were more protests in various cities. A lot of the women wearing the pink pussy hats, as you know. Then they were joined by the Me Too marchers. What do you make of all of that?
Well, the Me Too movement, I watched Rose McGowan's interview on The View, which was great, and she's like borderline like crazy. She sat there and she said that the whole Me Too movement was started by a bunch of agents in Hollywood. I just find that the Hollywood thing is completely hypocritical. If you really cared about Rose McGowan, there were only a few. I'll step back. There were only a few women when Harvey Weinstein was at his peak that actually had the nerve to stand up to him. Rose McGowan, Courtney Love, that woman who won the Oscar for the Woody Allen movie, I can't remember her name, I can't remember her name, but anyway, there was a handful, and they haven't worked since. If Meryl Streep really cared about those women, offer them a job in your next movie. Rose McGowan would have a lot of money, or, offer these women jobs.
I don't think we've seen Rose McGowan since Jawbreaker.
Or Charm. That was the last gig.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that was the last gig she had. But Courtney Love is a good actress, or there's other women that deserve jobs, and if their career was substantially hurt by Harvey Weinstein, and you care so much about these women, offer them a job. That's the best thing you could possibly do. And none of them did. It's a chance for everyone to sit there and say, look how good of a person I am. I care. Justin Timberlake, who's and I love Woody Allen, but he is Woody Allen.
Yes.
Who's in a Woody Allen movie. And, sitting there talking about how hot his wife is in her dress and saying, time's up. And meanwhile, he was founded by a pedophile who molested boys in different boy bands.
Yes.
Level of hypocrisy. And also, he ended the career of Janet Jackson by flashing her nipple. And that's our spokesman of equality. It's just mind-boggling. And Hollywood doesn't understand why most people don't take them seriously.
And I didn't see the Rose McGowan interview, but I did see a lot of the marchers here in D.C., and I talked to some of them, and I think a lot of them have conflated the definition or what the point of Me Too was supposed to be. In fact, one of our contributors to Slanted Online, she just wrote a very controversial piece, if you go take a look at it, where she says her claim is that Me Too has gotten too far ahead of itself now, and it's become this own monster where it's actually taking away the voice of the women who have actually, been sexually harassed or have had horrible things happen to them by men like Harvey Weinstein, who have ruined people's lives and careers. but you know, there are women out there like this so-called Grace woman that made the claims against Aziz Ansari. So the contributor to Slanted, her name's Lucy, she kind of says some controversial stuff, and I think a lot of women might have their feathers ruffled about that. But do you think this movement has kind of gone over the deep end?
Yeah, I think like the Aziz Ansari thing. Honestly, I think he deserves all the hell he gets, because for as long as he's been famous, he's been like, I'm the woke bae. I'm such, I'm like a kind Indian guy, and I'm not like all the bad guys, and I'm a feminist. And he fed those demons until they sat there and ate him alive. So screw Aziz Ansari. I didn't give a shit about him.
Well, he's a New Yorker too, right?
Allegedly. I know he's from South Carolina. That's where he's from. Like the character Tom from Parks and Recreation.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Random fact, I know where Aziz Ansari was born. But
I forgot, yeah.
Yeah, but that's Aziz Ansari, and he lives in New York now, but yeah, everyone does, and they're all horrible. No, I'm from New York. The S-native New Yorkers are a special, actual breed of people. But I think that, yeah, the problem...
The Aziz thing, though, to be fair, I mean, Lucy brings up a really good point in her piece, is that the Aziz Ansari thing is a bad representation for Me Too, and it exemplifies. It's a bad date.
It is. It's a bad date.
She had a shitty date.
She shouldn't have not blown him. And when he sat there, when he was completely naked and said, "Hey, let's watch Seinfeld and chill," she should have known. I mean, could you imagine you're sitting there and giving oral sex to Aziz Ansari while Jerry Seinfeld's voice is in the background? Wouldn't you kill yourself? Like that's got
a bad date. I mean, that's a bad date.
That's the worst state. So Aziz Ansari's body and Jerry Seinfeld's voice. So I think that I think the problem is, and I hate to sound like too philosophical, but the problem is a lot of these organizations that are really that are really created in a very left-wing ideology.
Yeah.
Pursue to destroy something rather than rebuild something, or rather than create something.
That's an interesting observation.
The whole thing is, let's destroy or take down the patriarchy.
Like you said, they took down the patriarchy of Hollywood, and let Harvey Weinstein be that example while we're talking. But you're right. Where is everybody offering? Where's Rose McGowan's new job? Who's helping her get that job? What's
going to take its place? And when vacuums are created, they're often filled by some. I believe, who's that child actor? Corey Haim. Not Corey Haim, he's dead.
Feldman.
Corey Feldman. I believe when he says there's a lot of pedophiles in Hollywood.
Yeah,
that they probably filled a lot of the vacuum that were taken by the sexual molesters for women. I don't know that for a fact, but I do believe that. I bet you, in that vacuum that was Harvey Weinstein, a lot of other people came in. I mean, look who's moving to Hollywood to start his own documentary company. It's the guy from NBC, the guy from the Today Show.
Matt Lauer?
Matt Lauer, yeah, he's moving to Hollywood to start his own production company. He just announced.
Well, I mean, he's got a ton of money, so I mean, he's lay low for a little while.
Exactly, as long as it's not named Matt Lauer Productions, no. But he'll have the studio and the door with the buzzer underneath the table, and I mean, okay, unless you create something that's an alternative, just trying to take down or destroy something will only provide a vacuum for bad things to happen.
That is a really excellent observation, Ryan. See, this is why you have to remain my friend forever, because I would not have seen that angle. You are right. There hasn't been a replacement or a mode to help all these women who were victimized. And I'm not discrediting the women that were out there marching or have been, and I would say the bulk of adult women out there have had some form of sexual harassment at least once or twice in their life. I'm not discrediting that. But the movement has not done anything to help the women other than shed a light on stuff like this, that it's happening.
So there's two other things I want to say. So one is, I think that a lot of the problem is that some of these women who go walking around at award shows in see-through outfits or barely naked sit there and There's a problem with them saying, you know, don't look at me, but here's me for attention. You have to, if you just, that's a problem. But the second thing is, and this is such a random observation and things. Do you ever see She-Devil with Meryl Streep and Roseanne?
No.
Okay, if you've never seen it, it's a terrible movie from the 90s. Excellent. You got to see it, though. Really quickly, Roseanne plays an ugly housewife. Meryl Streep's a great, beautiful author. Husband leaves her for Meryl Streep. That's the premise. And Roseanne rebuilt her life with a place called A Place for Rose, where she rebuilt other women's lives who have been damaged by men. And she finds them jobs and gets them career training. If this was serious, instead of wearing a white rose at an award show, you would have a place for Rose, like the Roseanne idea from that movie, where you rebuild some of these women's lives, rather than just trying to make a name for yourself, which is what a lot of them did. I mean, a lot of those speeches were just to sit there and say, you know, don't look at me, but look at me. I'm a part of a bigger thing. Whenever someone says, this is bigger than me, no, that means it's all about you.
I can see that. I mean, I suppose that's why I don't watch those things. You know, being born and raised in LA, you kind of have hatred for awards show season because all the traffic gets blocked off and you can't get to your stores or your favorite bar. So that's a whole nother story, though. But dovetailed into the Me Too movement and going right round robin back to politics, this week we found out that Hillary Clinton had her faith advisor from her 2008 campaign when she was running against President then candidate Obama. We find out now, 10 years later, that she kept a sexual harasser on staff for close to the last decade. What do you make of that?
You know, Hillary, can you believe that the woman who ordered the toppling of Syria and created it into a slave state would be not a good person? I don't know what to really, at this point, she released a apology, and she released it at, right when the State of the Union was coming out, so no one saw it. Yeah. I think you're a woman of a certain age, go enjoy your money, go have a nice life, get out of the media. Truly, she's not going to be a candidate for anything ever again. Go, do your nonprofit, go do your Clinton charity, go donate money to charity and work hard and volunteer and just have a nice life.
Yeah, her apology, the first apology, it wasn't really an apology. Her first, I think it was a tweet or it might have been a Facebook post that she responded to these allegations, and they're not allegations actually, they're the truth. She kept Bernd Strider on staff for many, many years. And ironically, of course, he was the faith advisor. Go figure. But she kept him on board, and she comes onto social media and says, that young woman's concerns were addressed. It's taken care of. It's many years later, and let's move on. That's basically what she said. And of course, like you said, that was during State of the Union. But she got a lot of blowback. She got a lot of heat for it. So now she's out with an apology, I'm sure, after her handlers told her that she was getting negative feedback about it. So she comes out with an apology. Do you really think Hillary Clinton is a true, number one, role model or a good role model for women? And number two, seeing as she continued to be married to a man who is notoriously a womanizer. She protected him.
I think that Hillary Clinton with Bill was married for Hillary Clinton, and I think she is a role model for certain women. The fact that she worked really hard, she's a really smart person who made a life for herself and a career for herself, and she was the closest woman ever become president. In her sense of accomplishments, that's very role model-esque.
I agree. She's worked hard. She's busted her butt.
But was she always out for the cause of womanhood? Absolutely not. Hillary was always out for Hillary. And to succeed to a certain point, you have to really only be out for yourself. Yeah. Hillary sat there and said, I'm leaving Bill because she, for Monica or Jennifer Flowers or all the rest of them or Juanita Broad.
Yeah, right.
In the 80s, she would have never become first lady. She would have never become senator. She would have never became secretary of state. She would have never, but she sat there and she knew what she had to do. And to a certain extent, that's really, I mean, the bigger story is you have to be an individual in that sense and have to sit there and say, what's good for me over good for, a cause. Like, who am I fighting for? Is it better for me to be stuck in Arkansas or move back to Illinois or go to the White House, even if my husband raped Juanita Broderick? And I think that she made those calculations a long time ago, and she has an insular base of people, and this guy was probably really close to her, so she said, this is really important to keep him on rather than let him go, and I'm going to make the decision what's good for me, not good for womanhood or whatever that, whoever phrase you want to put it on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen a record of Hillary Clinton over the past almost 3 decades now. She's not only protected her husband time and time again, she's gone on to attack the other women. She attacked Monica Lewinsky, who was a young 20-something intern.
Yeah.
She attacked a young girl. I mean, I don't know that is a great example of a woman who backs other women. She never once came out and spoke out against her husband because, like you said, he's a Clinton. She probably, as Hillary Rodham, she probably would still be an attorney somewhere in Arkansas. But as a Clinton, she saw a pathway up and out.
Right, and and that's the thing. Like, those are the decisions you have to make sometimes. I mean, women are constantly faced with those issues. Do I have a baby or do I work? Do I stay in this relationship or do I leave? And she made the decisions the best that she knew how. But people now that Hillary has lost, a lot of Hillary supporters have created a myth around her that she is like this hero, and she's not. She's a politician. Yeah. She's a person, and she always sought to do what was best for her. And she did not like Barack Obama whatsoever, but she voted for him because it was what's best for her. And certainly her position on foreign policy was not his position on foreign policy. She was, a war hawk, and he was a peace dove, and all the rest of it. But she did what was best for her. And I think at the end of the day, that's really the story of Hillary Clinton and the story of a lot of women in that generation who became something. It was, this is what's best for me, and let me be idealized later on, but I'm doing what's best for me, not best for a movement now.
All right, Ryan, I could go on and on talking with you because it's very easy to talk to your friends about all of this stuff. We're just now actually just posting it for the rest of the world to see.
Yeah.
And it's probably gone on a little longer than we should have. Friends ramble. So I'm going to leave that right there and thank everybody for watching and bearing with us and having us ramble here. Hope you guys enjoyed some of our thoughts and our conversations here. But, these are who my friends are. Ryan Girdusky, contributor to the Washington Examiner and still Republican strategist. We'll have you back on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan.